And okay, so while Ben is maybe adding some of the stuff to the agenda and whatnot, just as a reminder, meeting is being recorded. It gets uploaded to LFX and usually YouTube um, shortly after. Your attendance is also an agreement to abide by the OpenSSF Code of Conduct. And linked in the meeting notes is an LF antitrust notice to make sure you're aware of. Um, Ben, do you want to take it away?
Yep. Um, does anyone have anything for, there's nothing on the agenda. Does anybody have anything for this meeting today? If not, we can make it a very short one.
Yeah, I know Victor had his thing about the transparency exchange API.
Okay.
Yeah. Friday we had a meeting. I thought T did not support SPDX. It turned out they already have it built in, so they already support SPDX. So the actual I don't know, you need an official announcement or not. I guess it probably come very quick. Just want to bring that to the table and see does it in any way need to be discussed.
Yeah, so I definitely think that's a feature that should be on the backlog. I mean, feel free to open up a GitHub issue on GUAC, on any of the GUAC or GUAC related subprojects. Um, I definitely think it's something worth at least chatting through. Like again, I don't know. There's parts of the transparency exchange API, like so. The areas where I see a lot of value is in the can the various projects underneath GUAC discover SBOMs using transparency exchange API based communication? I think the answer is yes. Um, I think it would be really cool to have a collector that did this. I think when it comes to prioritization, I think what we want to see is like folks essentially saying, "Hey, I'm distributing my SBOMs via a transparency exchange API compliant sort of method. For example, like, hey, if you look under this dot well known, you'll see where all our SBOMs are. Hey, that's great. Let's kind of let's use that." But I think one of the things we'd want to see, given that we're more on the consumer side than the distribution side, at least most of GUAC, like yes, you can download an SBOM from GUAC, but generally we're more on the other end of like we're consuming SBOMs and then turning it into a queryable data set. So I think the thing that we would be just sort of interested in is who is currently distributing some of these SBOMs so we can go in and actually test that out and everything.
Yeah. So I shared a link to the it's a SPX 3.1
Mhm.
turtle file.
Yep.
So since SPX is a real ontology with a complete OWL slash turtle file, that's why kind of a mapping to other existing terminologies, taxonomies. So it is very quick, very straightforward. Using it can also enable new use cases, uh, such as new symbolic AI by default. Uh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
why.
no, I'm very familiar with
Yeah,
the SPDX thing. I have an issue open for the past 2 years asking for Go support. So yeah, I'm very familiar with like the SPDX 3 dot whatever. For me, it's less about could we support SPDX 3, right? Because I think for us, again, we're a downstream consumer of a lot of this stuff. So if somebody provides us with a library, whether it's Protobomb or SPDX Golang tools, we're more than happy to support it. But we're also not going to be writing SPDX 3 dot 3.x support ourselves. So that's just like one of the things. It's just like, hey, we only have so much time, so we're not going to be writing that support ourselves. But we're definitely happy to kind of consume that downstream. I think to kind of go back to the transparency exchange API thing, yeah, we can support whatever. We just need to, like, for us, I think when it comes to prioritization is understanding who is currently distributing their SPDX or Cyclone DX SBOMs via transparency exchange API so that we can go and say, okay, great, these are the folks who are doing it. Here's how we can kind of integrate and test it out. And then that also helps us prioritize because like if there's one project that's doing the transparency exchange API. We don't want to be just like the earliest adopters. We just don't have the time to support that. But if somebody came in and went, oh yeah, here's like a dozen projects that are supporting it, it would be much easier for us to kind of come in and just spend a few hours going in and doing that. But yeah, I'm familiar with like the shackle and the turtle files and all that for sort of the SPDX stuff. Yeah, I think the challenge again for why we don't have SPDX 3 support is still that open issue that's still being kind of talked about, that I opened up in 2024 about, hey, what approximately when would we get Go support, like like official Go support in the Golang library for SPDX, the official one. Or, if somebody else wrote up their own library, like where does that live so that we could start, ingesting it? Because again, for us, it's just as simple as an import and mapping a couple of things to our internal data model. So that's simple.
Yep, understood. So I'm just bringing it up because in the past, the focus was still primarily on creating the ontology rather than implementing libraries. So
Hmm.
now that it is kind of a mature, definitely, I think if you, I know you don't have the bandwidth to actually create it, but I think if you maybe bring it up in the implementation meeting, there's also again another batch of summer of code folks joining. I think it will be helpful to help drive to what you need.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also, this not sure you're aware of RDF 1.2 is going to support getting close to the RDF database versus the property graph database differences. So yeah, that's something that could be useful for more advanced use cases.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. So just as an FYI, here's my sort of issue from a few years ago. It does look like folks, at least as of last week, are still sort of talking about how to maybe approach eventually writing a Golang library. So yeah, definitely happy to sort of integrate it once once that's done. Because yeah, again, we're happy to support the various ontology and other things inside of GUAC. We just don't have the time to sort of build a bunch of those libraries for SPDX at this time.
Cool. Thank you. I'll follow up with Gary on that issue.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else have anything for today?
I had a couple of PRs that I had raised, which needs more reviews. So I would probably put it in the chat.
Sure.
So these are all PRs raised in GOG. One of them has to do with the Go upgrade. Right now, a couple of dependent about PRs are also blocked because it needs the 1.26 version of Go. And there are two other PRs.
Maintainers, do you have any initial comments, or should we just follow up later? I'll take that as a follow-up later. Mike, you're muted.
Yes, this is hey, let's follow up a little later. I'll take a look as well. I think one of the things, and I apologize, I've been writing a script for myself just to give me a daily set of like what are the things in GitHub that I said I needed to look at and didn't get to actually look at, because that list grows a lot. So I apologize for not taking a look. Separately, Ben, did we add um, Brant to the list of uh, pull request reviewers?
That's a great question. I don't think so.
Yeah. Because I know there was a few folks on a list that I know we approved, the steering committee approved to give sort of up the ladder. there, at least for the core GUAC project.
Yeah, I can go take a look after the fact, but I wouldn't be involved in the process, so I don't remember offhand.
You just gotta write some more code or review some more code, Ben, and we can give you that bit.
That sounds dangerous.
Um, cool. Any other topics, questions, thoughts? Um, I don't know if folks have seen, but CNCF, some of the folks at CNCF created CBOM. They were originally using full-fledged sort of guac, but they needed something a little simpler and more just like straightforward for their needs, which I think I totally agree with them, given sort of like, hey, guac is great for when you have very complex situation, when you just kind of are like, hey, I just want to see what license, yada yada. They created CBOM, which is super useful. They're planning to bring this to the OpenSSF. It's unclear if this is going to become yet another project underneath sort of that guac umbrella, but it's something that just to keep an eye out on because I think they're also doing some pretty cool work over there as well. Yeah, and any other thoughts, comments, things to um, any topics or anything like that? Cool. Just nothing else. We can end 45 minutes early or so.